What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Dawkins and Duke. This week we got my guy, my brother. We go way back. Tyler Thornton, current assistant coach for the Howard University men's basketball team. As always, make sure you are subscribing so you get the alerts whenever we put up another podcast. And check out our YouTube channel, The Field of 68. That's where we post clips from all of our podcasts across the entire network. So check that out as well. Make sure you subscribe and go check those videos out. But hope you enjoyed this one. I'll see you next week. All right, this week we got my guy, my brother, Tyler Thornton. Welcome on to the show, man. Well, thank you for coming on.
Thanks, bro. Thanks for having me, man. I feel like we haven't had a little talk in a while, so I feel like this is gonna be fun.
Yeah, this is going to be good, man. So we start the podcast off the same way every week. We got to get your welcome to Duke moment.
Like, I guess, coming off, so I came into class after you guys won the championship.
Mm-hmm.
So coming in that summer, I think Coach was going with the USA team. And, he was gone, Wojo was gone. I want to say CC was gone for the majority of that summer. They maybe have been in and out, but for the majority of that summer, they were gone. So when he comes back from, winning the gold medal with the boys, Kobe, LeBron, hello, the
decent little squad,
the what they call them, the Redeem team.
Yeah.
He comes back from that. We have been working out and playing some pickups and stuff, but like my first welcome the Duke moment was that first scrimmage. He got back and just wanted to watch us play, but it was more like a controlled scrimmage. And he's like, I want you to pick up full court. And it's like, mind you, it's like I'm guarding either Kyrie or Nolan.
Yeah. It ain't sweet at all.
I mean, guarding Kyrie or Nolan, maybe Seth. And I'm just like, no, I'm like, oh, this is gonna be a long journey. But I wasn't necessarily discouraged from that. I embraced it, but it was like that was my first time really understanding it was going to be different than anything I had done previous as far as my basketball career goes.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I think we all have that moment where it's like, oh, okay, this is not the same.
I mean, it was fun because we were all kind of out of shape at the time. So
yeah, absolutely.
Like anybody was really running circles around anybody, but it was like, obviously it was like while people were tired, it was like we got to go harder, and it's like, nah, that's not good enough.
Yeah,
like it was more steps to getting in shape and being able to have endurance. Becoming an older player, catching your second wind in practice. Like you may start off a little sluggish, but you catch your second wind and you're good.
Yeah.
Like, freshman, you don't have, you got a little bit in the tank, and
that's it. Then it's just survival.
Yeah, and then it's just survival mode. It's just like at the end of the day, you have all these thoughts like, I can't quit. At the end of the day, I can't quit. So, it's part of just like everybody's college. It's just like it's a little bit different, but at the same time, if you're going somewhere has a winning tradition, it's just like, hey, you gotta. Those guys did what they did in the past. You got to uphold that standard.
Absolutely, for sure. So we're gonna take it way back because you and I go way, way back. Back to what was it? 19 years old, Team Maryland Virginia Vipers.
Yeah, 10. That's 10 and under.
Yeah.
10 and under,
yeah. So yeah, me and Ty met way back when. Rivals up in the DMV area. Well, I don't even know if we can really call it a rivalry because y'all used to kick the shit out of us every time y'all played us. It was crazy, man. It was the only because 8 and under we won the region, 9 and under we won the region, and then 10 here come these Virginia Vipers, and it was our region, and we could beat every other team in the region, and we could not beat these dudes, man. It was so frustrating. I hated it because we always come out with the damn silver medal.
I mean, for me it was funny because I was a football player. Like growing up, my older cousin Sammy, he played at Suitland, and I remember just being a little kid watching his high school games up close in person, being around his teammates, and just being like, oh yeah, I want to I want to play football. And then I
Mm-hmm.
played football first. So like I think I was 8, 9, I played football. And then when I was 9, I started, the first 2 years I saw my teammates going to like basketball tryouts right after football practice.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, I might want to go play basketball. And I went, but I was bigger than everybody my age. So my
Yeah.
year playing football, I was playing with all the older brothers of the kids I played with the year before.
Mm-hmm.
So naturally, I just went to the older kids basketball tryout. Ended up playing, selectively for a year, and then that second year is when I joined the Virginia Vipers 10 and under. And that was when we kind of had a lot of the kids from my resting team, but couple people sprinkled here and here and there. And it just kind of came together naturally, I guess. It wasn't like we had put a super team together to go
Yeah. Yeah.
beat Maryland. It was just like, for me, it was my first time just going to play basketball outside of wrestling,
Mm-hmm.
and just competing outside of wrestling. It was obviously when we ran into y'all for regionals and then going to nationals and all of that stuff. So yeah, it's crazy because I was thinking about that. It's just like I still have vivid memories of going to those gyms, playing
Mm-hmm.
y'all slam and jam.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I remember Slam and Jam.
Like
Yeah.
all those teams and
Yeah.
fans going crazy.
Yeah.
God's glory,
Uh-huh.
all those teams. It's just fun times.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, it was cool, man. I feel like I don't know if it was just audience from the tournament or whatever, but I feel like we used to pack the gyms out a little bit at
I mean,
10, man.
it was the energy. The DMV is a basketball city. I say this all
Absolutely.
the time. It's a
Absolutely.
basketball city. So, of course, the parents, the uncles, the aunts, people's families wanted to come see the competition.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, and at the end of the day, it was high level. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I remember that year, my 10 and under year, we won it. I remember staying and watching the game after, and that was, Quinn, running with
Mm-hmm.
his little mob,
Yep.
winning the region. And it's just like I have vivid memories of just watching that and being in those environments, being in those gyms, and just it's just weird feeling how special it, because it felt special then. And
Mm-hmm.
as we grew, we all kind of matured into who we were going to be. But it's just like all being on that journey from the same young age and just keep growing and having fun with it. It's
Yeah,
definitely special.
absolutely. Um, it's kind of crazy if you think about it. Like at 10, just in that game, between y'all and us, like you got at least like 4 D1 athletes. I mean, you got you, obviously, myself. Jarian was on our team. Jarian Grant played at Notre Dame, played in the NBA for a long time. Lewis, who ended up, he played football at Georgia Tech.
Yep.
Yep. It plays in the NFL now, professional NFL player. And it's like it probably was a couple other guys too that I'm not naming, but like to have that many like Division I athletes on the same court at 10 is kind of nuts.
Nah, I mean, it just goes to show how high level of competition it was, even at that age.
Mm-hmm.
For everybody to kind of being that 1% of athletes that are able to make that jump, because at the end of the day, it's really not that many spots available year
Nah.
to year,
Uh-huh.
and we were always on that path. So it never seemed like it wasn't a possibility for us, I guess. But at the same time, after being in it and then now being a coach, being on the other side, I definitely feel blessed that we were able to, be able to sharpen our tools with each other at
Mm-hmm.
that age and
Yeah.
continue to kind of like push each other, because you always just competing. You're competing to see who's the best, competing
Mm-hmm.
to see who can be the champion, who can hold that crown. And now I guess the tournaments, then you always somebody came out as a winner,
Yeah.
especially at the AAU level. So if you play 8, 9 tournaments in the summer, you got 9 chances to win a championship.
Yep.
It didn't really
Yep.
matter what the name of the tournament was, especially as
Mm-mm.
kids. Obviously,
Nah.
what tournaments are what as you get older,
Right.
what has more respect or whatever. But as a kid, you just like, hey, I remember we won 7 championships this
Yeah,
summer.
yeah.
That's what you
If
want.
if there's
Telling
a
your friends.
there's a team on the other side and there's something at the end, I want it. Basically,
Mhm.
talk a bit about like because I know for me, and probably for you as well, it was like you talk about the high level of play, but it was also a high level of coaching. And shout out to Coach Butch Hazel, who was our coach for 9, 10, I think 11 and under. And, he implemented like a lot of stuff. Like we had a lot of plays that we had to know, different defenses. Like, we would switch defenses like mid game coming out of timeouts. And so I think that had a big influence on being able to get to, high school and especially college and, understand different concepts and be able to, get plugged in immediately and understand what was going on. Do you feel like that helped you as well coming up?
Nah, for sure. Shout out to Coach Butch, Howard alum,
Yes, sir.
wife, Miss Lisa. But definitely, our coach at the time, like you said, from the Vipers, Coach Will, he preached the fundamentals. I remember at a young age doing 4-man shell drill, doing zigzags and really, doing simple things. Obviously, we played and got up and down, but it wasn't just about playing. It was about understanding help side defense, boxing out, understanding just those little things that as you get older and you kind of master those, you don't think about them as much. And definitely, I think that just for this area in general, because I don't really know how kids growing up in other areas play. I know you moved down to 757, which is an extension of the the DMV when you just talk about the distance. But I think they, like I said, it's a basketball city. They love basketball, and we're fortunate enough to have the knowledge, and basically a lot of great players come from the area and give back, because at the end of the day, that's all it is. They give back the knowledge and pay it forward. And that's, we are kind of the products of, that older generation giving back to the youth.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, man. I mean, you talk about it being just the basketball culture up there is crazy. Like, I remember when I was a kid, I was like 6 or 7, and we had a rec center down the street from our house. And my parents would just let me just walk up to the rec, and I'll be there all day just playing basketball. Or, the times where we got to, my dad would get me in the car and we'd go out to run and shoot, which, that's a deep cut for the DMV folks listening out there, man. 24-hour gym. Always had runs going, man. And especially as like a kid going, and, my dad would play in the runs and stuff. And it was always like, oh man, I can't wait till I get a little older so I can get out there and get on the court.
Yeah, I remember taking those trips to the run and shoot with my pops, to work out, get games in, whatever. And like you said, being in that gym it's especially as a kid, it's so big. You go see the grown people play, and it's just they physical, they having fun, and it's just like, yeah, I definitely want to be a part of that, and compete like that. And it was just, I guess, inspiration for us as we grew older, just kind of like chase that and want to be what we saw up close and in person, and we're fortunate enough to see. Because like you said, me and my dad, we used to drive around, try to look for some bump outside, and he would play alongside of me. So I was basically just trying to keep up with him, and people would be like, oh, how old is he? He's like, oh, he's only 11, 12, 13, and by that time I went to high school, we really weren't doing that as much. So it was like, but during those years when I was kind of a boy turning into a teenager, playing against grown men that, they may not have been like the best players, but they were stronger than me, faster than me, more physical, things like that. So it kind of taught me a little bit of like how to grow up and what college would be like. It's just like, it's the same thing all over again, even though you're 18 to a 23, 22, 23, 24-year-old senior, you're a little boy.
Yeah, absolutely.
They're like running circles around you, and they're not through the wall. So kind of, one of the lessons I learned is like, you just got to keep working and keep pushing, and you'll be that older guy at some point.
Yeah, it's funny you mentioned that. I remember that too, man. We just drive around and like find parks. Somebody's playing pickup out there, we're gonna go play pickup out there, or like go to a gym, hop in the gym, see if anybody's playing. No, let's go to the next one, see if somebody's playing at the next one. Yeah, it was crazy, man. It was just always looking for a game somewhere. And then, you went to high school, played in one of the like legendary high school conferences up in DC. What was that like? Because I know there was a huge concentration of really good players up there while you were in
Yeah,
high
I
school
mean,
too.
I guess to kind of talk about that, I guess we could just take a little step back and talk about middle school and
Mm-hmm.
our, me and you's mutual teammates in Kendall Marshall.
Yep.
So me and Kendall went to the Potomac School together, which is like a K through 12. We could have went to high school together. Basically, the coach at the time had left. I don't know what happened. He went where he went. So me and Kendall in 8th grade were like, look, we probably gonna have to just go our separate ways. In the WCAC, which is the Catholic League in the area, we both, went on our visits, went on our tours. And for me, it was a couple schools I probably wanted to go to for the wrong reasons,
Mm-hmm.
or Gonzaga, but my parents ultimately made a decision, and I'm grateful that they did. All boys school, to a 8th grader is not,
Yeah.
just don't sound like fun. But at the end of the day, it was the right decision. I have lifelong friends from there, and I grew up there. And for me, as far as basketball goes, it was like, hey, I was traveling from Reston to the city. So it's like my commute at the time was like anywhere between an hour to an hour and a half to and from, just depending on the time of day. And I was making that commitment because one is a great academic school. I was going to get that foundation academically. And then, at the time, it was probably a couple other schools that were considered better schools for basketball, but it was a great opportunity for me to kind of help build something with a good foundation, and was fortunate enough to kind of follow through on that just by going in there and competing and trying to raise the level of competition around me. And it was just, like I said, we played against the Mathis team that was loaded,
Yep.
and a couple other teams nationally that were loaded. And, for me, it was just like, I'm not going to bow down to anybody. And it was
Mm-hmm.
fun at the same time because like I said, we've been playing against all these guys our whole lives. And that was the best part about it, is just like, it was fun at the end of the day.
Yeah. So what was your recruiting process like? And then secondary question, ultimately, why Duke? Because I mean, your recruiting process probably a bit different than a lot of the guys who end up at Duke. You weren't, you weren't McDonald's guy. You weren't like a 5-star or anything like that. So what was it like? And then why did you end up choosing Duke?
So for me, I guess just like the bigger picture of my recruiting process, how Duke came into the fold was coming out of the DC area. My first like big offer was Georgetown.
Mm-hmm.
And at the time, they had a few guys from the WCAC that I was playing in: Austin Freeman,
Yep.
Chris Wright, Jason Clark.
They had
Um,
a really good team.
and at the end of the day, those guys were just like some of the people I looked up to as far
Mm-hmm.
as growing up, going to go watch play. Besides like Scotty Reynolds and Nolan and all of that, but to have a concentration of three of the top guys that come out that league on one team, it was like,
Yeah.
well, I kind of want to fall in line with that.
Yeah.
So Georgetown came, and it was a few other ACC schools, Big East schools, Villanova, UVA, Virginia Tech, Wake Forest, and that was like from my sophomore year, that probably the beginning of the school year through to my season to that summer, and I had came to visit Duke just to like visit Nolan and hang out with Nolan
Mm-hmm.
at some point that year, but Duke wasn't recruiting me.
Mm-hmm.
It was just I came down to visit, just kind of kick it with him for real. My summer going into my junior year um, was or I guess the spring coming into my junior year was like the year that ended up being a big summer for me.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I just came off a Adidas Super 64 national championship. You know, our team was doing really well with DC Assault. And really, coach's first time seeing me was at a tournament in Pittsburgh. I think it was Pitt Jam Fest.
Mm-hmm.
We were playing. I mean, he wasn't there necessarily watching our team because we were 16 and under. He was watching the 17s, but we were playing um, CIA Bounce that had Tristan Thompson,
Mm-hmm.
Corey Joseph, and um, Mick Kabunga, I think, at the time. We're playing them. Lance Stevenson is playing against somebody else on the court next to us in the semifinal game, which was All Stars. So, you know, our game comes down to the wire, and um, I think we're either, I don't know. I think we may be down one or it might be a tie game or whatever. Corey Joseph, we in overtime. Corey Joseph comes down the middle he went 1-on-1, and I just kind of like closed the gap, shot the
Mm-hmm.
pocket, and end up hitting a half court shot for game to send us to the championship game. So championship game coming around, we play against All Ohio Red uh,
Mm-hmm.
with Jared Sullinger
Mm-hmm.
and Kraft, Adrian Payne. I mean, they were loaded.
Yeah.
And a couple other guys that I'm just forgetting. They were
KD,
loaded.
Witherspoon.
Yeah, I mean they
They
had
had like
they
six
were they
D1
were,
dudes, man.
they were definitely a team that was just good from since we were younger all the way.
Yeah.
Um,
Yep. That same core for years is
uh,
crazy.
so we playing them in the championship game, and that game comes down to the wire, and we ended up winning on out of bounds underplay, basically kind of at the buzzer. I throw it past to Josh. Out of bounds under, he lays it in, and it's basically, we win the game, win the championship. And I think that was really the first time, because we had just my sophomore year at Gonzaga, we had just won 35 and won and won
Oof.
the city title. The only team we lost to was the Mather that year, and just kind of steamroll that into the offer with Duke. Um, and then at that point, it just kind of came down to Duke, Villanova, Georgetown, and Johnny, you know, who was recruiting me at Duke when he left and went to Stanford.
Mm-hmm.
Really those four schools. And I don't know. I never really grew up like a big Duke fan. I probably was more of a Carolina fan as a younger kid than I was a Duke fan. I liked, watching those teams. But I guess when I had my interactions with Coach, and then, kind of seeing Nolan's process through Duke and how he, didn't necessarily have like everything given to him, and he had to earn his way through the system. And I saw him just like loving the environment. It was just like, for me, one, maybe to have an opportunity to be in that environment where it's challenging. And at the end of the day, you're getting coached by, the best ever at the end of the day. Like, let's not forget, like, Coach has built the program, and the people that he's brought in to help win at the rate that he's won is not easy.
Yeah.
And it's a lot of pressure. And I wanted to be a part of that family. I wanted to be a part of that opportunity to, have a championship.
Yeah. Um, how important was it for you, in terms of your adjustment and just being comfortable coming in with a guy like Josh, who is, essentially a brother to you, um, and your adjustment from high school to college?
Definitely to have Josh, who I had spent a few, summers with from 15, 16, 17s. He
Yeah.
my AAU team 15 and under. So just to basically kind of go through AAU and on the Adidas circuit, we beat everybody there was to beat, including, it wasn't me and Josh, but, Sid, Edric,
Mm-hmm.
Cedric, Eric, all the other guys that we rolled with. Like, it was just now that we were at Duke, it was it was good to kind of have somebody I trusted truly to go through the fire with. And we both got bumps in the road at different points. But to have each other, like, be able to like lean on each other, and each other, it was like we kind of always wanted to have opportunity to do some stuff with when we were best friends. I feel like me and Josh was, opportunity to play at Duke together was just like something we couldn't really pass up on.
Yeah. And then you had one other guy in that freshman class who, ended up being okay at basketball, and Kai. And, I could tell you guys were really close, like real quick. You guys rolled together. Always, you always was pulling up to the gym with Nolan every day, you three guys. And it was very much different than my freshman class because we all went our separate ways. Not Josh, Ryan, Mason, and I, we all kind of like showed up at the gym separately, and like we would leave the gym separately. We were all on our own different things. So what made you guys so close so quickly that freshman year?
Well, I think it was a combination of, like I said, me and Josh already, being kind of connected at the hip, and then Kai with his personality. It was, it's easy to get along with him, and he was really the ringleader of us, like making sure we did everything and was always together. He wanted to make sure we always was connected, and no man was left out. Not and like you said, y'all, it was y'all personalities more so to be in y'all own space and move the way y'all did. And for us, it was more so just the combination of all our personalities that allowed us to be able to kind of be in each other's space, because it's not easy being with somebody all day, every day.
Yeah, for sure.
For sure. You're in the same classes, you living together in the same rooms, and meetings and practice all day, like literally 24/7 together. But for us, it was like, especially when we came to the gym and we were, in pickups, it was like, all right, at the end, we gonna roll together, and we gonna have each other's back. And it wasn't like, nah, you gonna get left out today, and if you get cooked up, nah, it's like, if you get cooked up, man, I'm right there with you. Like, nah, that's that. But it was, and like I said, Nolan did a great job too as a senior. Just kind of Nolan, Kyle, Casey, those guys did a great job of just like putting their arms around us and kind of showing us the ropes when it comes to maneuvering college on the court and maneuvering college off the court. It was, I think our freshman year wouldn't have been the same if we didn't have those guys come back after winning the national championship to kind of be able to help guide us and lead us in the ways that they did, because they're so totally different personalities, but they all were positive influences on us then and even now to today.
They're definitely different. Nolan's obviously kind of the bubbly guy, super people person, and then you got Kyle, who's to himself, but the best lesson you learn from Kyle is just watching him, like watching what he does. Like if you just sat and watched what he did, how he carried himself, how he came in, got his work in, how hard he played in practice, that was all the lesson you needed to learn from him. And then Nolan, was the more vocal. He's more the one that would say things. Kyle was just the more one like, I'm going to do it and do it like this, basically.
Yeah, nah, for sure. And I felt like, even in you saying that, we were lucky because he, as a senior, he allowed us into his space and let us, like, we grew to understand that about him. But it was like, he always welcomed us into his apartment.
He
always made sure like we ate. We always made sure we had what we needed. It was just like that's kind of, I came to learn it's not like that everywhere. And looking back on it, I feel extremely lucky because, like you said, Nolan picked us up no matter what time we had practice. Obviously, if it was in the morning, he picked us up every day. It was like he didn't miss a day, and he was always early. He always would text me, and then it would be like, "I'm gonna be there at such and such time." Boom.
Yeah.
You know, he ain't set. When he say that, you know, they like, "All right, we ain't setting our alarm to that." But nah, Nolan, block honking his horn, bass in his trunk bumping.
Yeah. You could hear Nolan on campus if you walking around. You okay? Nolan's close
with the bass thumping. So like you hear that Gucci man in the early morning.
Yeah.
So I always be the first one out the door, and then it was Josh, and Kyle was always the last one. That's just how we roll every time. But it was like, even like I said, and even in doing that, that's not normal, you know what I'm saying? And it should be, but it's like some people just don't want to do that. Like, then I'm sure if, you know, if we weren't so close to Nolan, maybe he wouldn't have picked us up, but just maybe our previous relationship with him, he just felt like he had to. But sometimes it's just like, hey, you're gonna have to figure that out. And all right, you know, that's what you're gonna hear from those things, especially early on, without really putting in and you work to earn your stripes on the floor. You know, it's like, look, nah, you get to the gym how you need to get to. If you start doing something out here, then maybe I'll come pick you up.
Yeah, that's funny. It's funny because, you know, when I would get to the gym, like if I saw Nolan's car, I was like, okay, the freshman are here, you know, because Nolan's here, so I know everybody's here. Oh man, I was about to say something else. I forgot it. But anyway, so freshman year, what was it like having them 6 a.m. practices, man? Was that out of the ordinary for you?
Nah, so for me, because I lived a little bit further away for high school, we would have coaches come watch us practice and work out in the mornings.
Okay.
School, so we would have 6:30 workouts.
Okay.
So for me to get on the bus and then on the train to make it to the city on time for the 6:30, I probably have to be up at 4:30, out my house at 4:50 at the latest, to get on that process so I can get to the gym, kind of get a little stretch out, get warmed up before I do the morning workout. So for me, it wasn't that the getting up part wasn't that tough. It was the actual like, all right, now it's go time.
Yeah.
You know, because it was like the getting up was the easy part, but it was like you got to play at a certain standard and think at a certain level. And I just remember sometimes those lights in the gym just buzzing in my head.
Yeah.
Just feeling that buzz of the lights while we going through practice and just being like talking to myself like, man, you got to push through. Like, you got to push through. You got to think. You got to react. You got to perform. You know what I'm saying? It's like there's no shortcuts to like the standard that you're trying to reach and uphold. So I mean, on top of it, like shit, I got to check Kyrie and Nolan at 6 a.m. in the morning.
I know, right? Early morning buckets getting handed out to you.
Kyrie, switch the stats, close out the tray. I'll throw some elbows my way.
Oh yeah,
it's like, hey, you gotta go through that.
Yeah. Yes. Another thing that's cool about Nolan picking y'all up is with them early practices, man, y'all would have had to get on that C1.
Yep.
And you don't never know what's gonna happen with the bus. So that definitely was a good look. And y'all would have had to get up way earlier too.
At that time it's like, hey, sometimes your BlackBerry charger ain't plugged in all the
way.
Running a little late, but you know, we were fortunate enough because hey, it was a couple nights where our joint it ain't go off, but you could hear that truck right outside our window.
Yeah.
Bumping, he honking, waking somebody else up. Just went to sleep for class, but he honking for us. I mean, luckily we were smart enough to kind of have our bags ready. Just
just be ready to go. Yep.
Brush your teeth at the gym.
Yeah. Get that extra couple minutes of sleep, man.
That extra couple of minutes.
So do you remember your first 10 ladder your freshman year?
Yeah. I mean, I remember the mile. I don't remember the 10 ladder. I remember our first day in the summer when we had to do like 10 22s and we ended up doing like 14 or 15.
Yeah. Oh man, I remember that day. Oh my goodness.
I remember a couple people going to the trash can to go talk to that man Earl. But my first 10 ladder, I'm trying to think. I don't think we got through it my first time we did it. I feel like, and I could be wrong, but I remember one of them days we was able to shoot free throws and get out of it because people weren't making a certain number, and we had ran enough of them, and it was like, all right, if somebody can hit these two free throws,
we'll let y'all go because y'all ain't doing it.
Y'all ain't doing it. But I do remember getting through it the first time and feeling like, all right, I'm ready.
Yeah. It was funny.
Mentally, it's just like it's tough because like it's bound for somebody to miss one of them, right?
Yeah.
Like you're gonna have to do one of them.
Especially as a freshman, you don't know how to do it.
You don't know how to do it, so you going dumb hard in the
beginning.
You got to pace yourself too.
Yeah.
Like, that's the thinking part of it.
Yeah. You gotta be able to think while you're tired.
You gotta think while you're tired and understand like it's a pace, it's a groove. It's certain runs that you're gonna have to really sprint. It's certain runs you can stride it out. Like it's certain runs you're gonna have to, you gotta figure it out though.
Yeah. So for those listeners who don't know what a 10 ladder is, that was our conditioning test, where it was 10 lengths, then you walk to the other side, then it was 9 walk, 8 walk, 7, all the way down to 1, and then you did 2 more 10 lengths at the end, on top. So it was funny because like it was my sophomore year, and obviously I did it my freshman year, and it was rough for me. But sophomore year, I understood it better. So I was kind of just cruising, and that preseason, whenever we would run, I would just see where Nolan was, and I would just be on his heels. Because I was like,
that's exactly what we all. All right, that's the marker right there.
Yeah,
I'll be close to him.
Yeah, if I was like, if I'm on his heels, I'm fine. I don't got to look up at the clock or nothing, because I know he's gonna be there in time. And like your first time doing it, you think everything is a sprint. So you come out the gates and you think the 10 is a sprint, and it's not. And that's where you get ate up, because the 10 I think was like 63 seconds, and a sprint is like under 5 seconds per length. So at 63 you get 6 seconds of length, and this is Duke education for you. But but this is all stuff that I had already thought about as a sophomore going into it. And so I know, like, okay, at 10 I'm cruising, and I remember y'all like took off on 10. I was like, oh Lord, here y'all. It's similar to the mile.
We learned. I remember coming to a conditioning day in some running shoes. And Coach Will ain't say nothing. We got on the line. We started turning the out of my shoes, sliding all on the joint, and he was like, "Well, we gotta wear your basketball shoes." Learning lesson.
It's funny because they would let you learn those lessons. They wouldn't say nothing. They would just be like,
"Okay, the running shoes on. You prepared?"
Because you thought you done outsmarted everybody. Oh yeah, y'all gonna run me? I got my running shoes. I'm ready. They're like, okay, that's why you gotta hit them turns.
But yeah, not. I love Coach Will. I would get extra work in with him. Because I was, I had weight issues and get a little heavy. And so I go through a 2-hour practice and have to get on the treadmill with him just to get that extra work in. And definitely having him and the conversations with him in a one-on-one manner definitely helped me be able to kind of conquer all those things that you're talking about. It's like, it's a mental aspect to the grind that you have to kind of be in the moment, like thinking about.
Yeah. And then it's funny you mentioned that day we ran them 22s. For those who don't know, 22 is 4 lengths in 22 seconds. So it's close to a sprint. It's not full out, but it's close. You got to be moving. And so I think we ran, it was 10 or 12. So we go into it, and I think we lifted before or something. We go into it, Coach Will says, we got 12:22s to finish the workout. I'm like, all right, cool. It's tough, but like, we I can get it done. Cause then, again, I'm a sophomore. I know how to run a 22. So, I'm getting, I'm gonna get across at 21 every time, like, cause it's down. I got it down to a science. So boom, bang them out. And that's part of the problem why we had to run more. But anyway, so we bang them out. We get to 10, get to 11, and guys are starting to get, they're starting to show. We get to 12, and guys, barely get across. And so I was like the last like 2, I still had stuff in the tank. So I think I kind of pushed the last 2 just cause like whatever, like we about to be done. Ain't no reason to have any extra left. So little did I know. But yeah, so pushed the last 2. So now I'm tired. And I remember like it was yesterday, man. Coach Will said, Nolan, you think we ran those hard enough? I'm like, God.
Nolan couldn't lie.
Yeah.
He looked around and
he did. He looked around, and I'm sitting there like, because like as soon as he asked the question, I already know what, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's rhetorical. It's not like Nolan can't say, yeah, we good, we out of here. You know what I mean? I know we running some more.
Yeah, let's bring it in. Coach Will not asking Nolan for him to say that.
For no reason. Yeah, so
he's asking Nolan for him to be like, he holding us accountable at the end of the day.
Yeah, so yeah, and I was so mad because it's like as you get into the program and spend time in the program, you know certain cues and certain things. So as soon as he asked it, I was like, God damn, we running some more. Mm-hmm. So yeah, needless to say, we banged out 4 more to end up at 16.
Like, even for us, is like the idea with, he knew we could run the 12-22s, but he wanted us to like push the limit in those 12. And that was the lesson we were learning. It wasn't about showing we can do it, because obviously we can do it. We could probably could have ran 20 of those 22s at that pace that you're talking about.
Right.
It was like, that's okay, but what I'm watching is you guys kind of go through the motions. Mm-hmm. Like, you're at the point now where you can go through the motions, and that's not good enough for us.
Yeah, because you can tell when a guy's just like is running the time, if that if that makes sense to people listening. Like, you're just running, like, because that's what I was doing. I was running to get back under 22 seconds. That's it. That's the goal. And I'm not pushing. I'm just running to get back in 22 seconds. So, I get down. I know if I get down there, if I'm touching the line at 8, I'm cruising. You know what I mean? I'm cruising into the finish line, crossing at 2 or 1, and, I'm good to go. So, yeah, that was definitely a lesson learned of like, man, you just go ahead and go hard, and he's gonna add some more at the end.
Nah, for sure. I mean, and that part of it comes into play when it's like, okay, you playing and you down 17 to UNC at home, and you got to get into a desperation mode, but you got to be in condition to think, to be able to make a comeback and then win the game like that, right? Yep. And if we were allowed to kind of do what you just said, because a lot of places you can just run the sprint and it's kind of like, okay, you ran it, that was good enough. Yep. But for us, running it wasn't the issue. It was like, how much can you push the limit while you tired after practicing all day, and you got to run at the end of the practice. We still want you to push yourself.
Yeah. And another thing that was kind of cool or kind of different about what we did was, when you're running, you get tired, but everybody still had to talk to each other. So in between runs during the break, we had to be speaking to each other, had to be encouraging each other. And when you're doing it, you're like, man, why are you making me fucking talk, man? I'm tired. Like, let me just stay here and get my breath back. But but it translates, and you don't understand till you get on the court and you're tired, but you can still speak to one another, and it's extremely important. And it's just like, it's just one of those like lessons that you learn that you don't know that you're learning at the moment.
Yeah, nah,
But
for
then you
sure.
get on the court and you realize, oh, okay, that makes sense now.
Well, and it's like, yeah, by that, like you said, by that point, you were able to, and you were able to kind of reference back to those moments during the game. Like, bro, we ain't do all
Yep.
that running to get out here and act like we can't get get this shit done.
Yep.
You know what I'm
Yeah, for
saying?
sure.
Like,
For sure.
we struggling right now, but let's come on, let's turn it up. And obviously being able to be in a place like Cameron, where as things turn, the building shakes and it shakes. So being able to kind of understand how to get that knob to where it's like now we got the momentum.
Yep.
Um,
Yeah. Yeah.
that's
And yeah.
that's where it starts though.
Yeah.
It starts in the practice gym, like attacking that workout at the end of the day.
Yeah, and we had a few of those. You mentioned the Carolina game, the NC State game. We're down 20, and it's just like, just keep playing. And one thing Coach used to say to us was like, put some game pressure on them, and let's see how they react. And we were able to do that, especially in the NC State game, where it's just, like they're kicking our ass, and it's easy, right? You know what I mean? Like, anybody who plays team sports knows, like, when things are going great, it's cool. It's no problem.
Everything feel like it's not going to change at any point. It's like we
Yeah.
in the groove, we
Yeah.
feeling it. We about to get it out the way.
Yeah. And then, but as soon as like Coach said, we put a little bit of pressure on them, and now like, oh, that shot missed. And like, ooh, that call didn't go our way. Ooh, we just got a charge. Ooh, they just scored another bucket. Ooh, now I can't hear myself think. Oh, they don't look tired.
It happens quick.
Yeah. And then you, before you know it, you look up and it's like, oh, okay, now we're in a game. And it's hard to flip that switch back on. So your freshman year, coming off the national championship, for people who don't know, and I try to tell people all the time, talk to them about how good that team was before Kai got hurt.
Shit. I mean, we were the number one team in the country.
Yeah.
And it wasn't like on accident. You had, guards, not including you and myself, of Kyrie Irving, number one pick, Nolan Smith, All-American, national champ, Seth Curry, All-American, he was on the national championship team, practicing. He wasn't playing, but he was a part of that team, part of that group.
Yep. Kicking our ass every day.
Getting buckets.
Yeah.
You have, Kyle Singler, who was a hybrid who can come down with the guards or go down there and bang with the bigs inside out. Him and Gordon Hayward at the time, you kind of put them at the same level as far as guys that are tough and consistent and reliable. And then you got the Plumlee brothers, Miles and Mason. At the end of the day, with Kyrie coming down the lane, defense got to react. Both of those guys, 40-inch verts. Ryan Kelly, Josh, like it's, your old school stretch four, which is like more normal now. I think we were kind of part of that transition and kind of seeing how the game even evolved after we left school to more of a 5-out kind of opportunities where we still had guys posting up, but you had every kind of piece that you needed to be a part of a team that to win a championship. I just think, the injury with Kyrie was unfortunate. We still, like I said, those guys, Kyle and Nolan, they elite.
Yeah. No, it was still a very good team.
So, like it's tough because it's like, yeah, even without Kyle, we were still really, really, really good.
Yeah.
And it was just, at the end of the day, it was just a situation where it was another team's night, because I still feel like a couple shots go a different way in that game, it's a different type of game.
Yeah,
But
for
you
sure.
know, when teams are on fire like that, and you see now with the NCAA tournament, guys get on fire, and it's really like, hey, it's nothing you can do right now.
Yeah,
You know, it's like
yeah,
yeah,
yeah. I mean, yeah.
quick.
If Derek Williams doesn't lose his mind in the first half, we're probably up 15,
Yeah,
and that game's over.
and it's part of like
Yeah,
at the end of the day, we played the scouting report to the best
yeah,
to the best of what we were told to play, and at the end of the day, um that's all you can really can ask for, because like even when you lose, if you lose doing the wrong things and are not following the scouting report and kind of going off and doing your own thing thinking it's going to get done, that's when it gets tricky. But it's like, hey, we followed the joint to a T, and it just was their night. With that being said, it was their night. So
yeah.
um I mean, that I think that team goes undefeated, um, most likely, and
Goes
I,
down as one of the best
I
teams
probably
ever.
no, I definitely don't play at all. I just back on the bus, just happy to be there.
Yeah, yeah.
My experience might have been different, but for me, I guess on a personal level, obviously Kai's injury just offered me more opportunity
Hmm.
to play, and he was one of my main supports on helping me like get him to play in shape, because at that point
Hmm.
I wasn't playing, so I was kind of out of shape, and coach brings me in, it's like, look, man, you're gonna have an opportunity to play, but I can't play you unless you can get up and down and
Yep.
run the team and do what I know you can do. So it took
Hmm.
me about a 2-3 week period of really just like I said, extra running, really focusing on my diet. Kai would order pizza at night and be like, "Yo, you want something?" And he'd be like, I'll be about to tell him something. He'd be like, "Man, nah," like throw a granola bar at my head, like. But at the same time, it was like for me, it showed how important the brotherhood really was.
Hmm.
Because it was like it was honest. It was like, yo, you're not what you could be for us right now, but if you do these things, you'll have this opportunity, and then we'll see what you can do with it. So like once I really got in shape, and it was crazy because I ended up working my way into getting my first start versus Maryland at Maryland, which was kind of just like randomly happened that way. Um, it was just it was fun of being a part of that and kind of being able to understand my body and understand like how I kind of fit in with this group that, like I said, was really good
Hmm.
without Kai. And then
Yeah.
obviously, you know, kind of fast forward by the end of that season, that blue squad in practice, we were having some fun, you know. And
Hey,
I
man.
don't want to. I know those practices are on DVD somewhere because we weren't
Yeah,
totally
yeah.
digital. But it was just like we just kept working. And then when Kai came back from injury, it was our job to kind of like get him back into playing mode and getting that groove back. And I thought we, as a group, we did that in the middle of a season, while
Hmm.
we're trying to compete for the championship. And we did. We won the ACC tournament that year.
Yeah, yeah. That blue squad was nice, man. Because by by like mid ACC season, like teams are pretty much set up. The starters and the blue squad. Blue squad is the off the bench guys. So it's you, me, Jig,
Gosh.
Josh, Ryan. Um, did we have Todd? Did we run in with Todd for a while?
We probably had Todd or Casey Peters,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
you know,
So
everybody else was on the other team.
so we had that squad going, and then so we had like we were kind of used to playing with each other in practice, and then Kai comes back, and obviously that makes the blue team a whole lot better. So, so yeah, we were running stuff for a couple weeks, man. We were getting some buckets for a little bit. Um, but yeah, so fast forward a little bit to sophomore year, we go to Hawaii, Kansas in the championship game of the Maui Invitational. Back in my day, we didn't lose in the Maui Invitational. Game's coming down the wire. You get the ball with 2 seconds on the shot clock, fling up a wild shot, legs kicked out, all that.
Yep.
What was that? What was hitting that shot like? I mean, what was going through your head? Like, you just like, man, I just gotta get a shot up. When you shot it, were you like, oh, that's money?
It was crazy because the shot I shot before, I knew I was going to put up because I had felt like I was open on that play throughout the game, and I just hadn't pulled it yet. And I was just like, the next one I get, I'm ready to pull it. So when I hit that one was like the one that kind of gave me that shot was lucky at the end of the day, right? I slowed it down. It's like from the catch to the shot is like 0.2 seconds. I'm caught it at my ankles, and at the end of the day, the best thing I did was hold my follow through up, right?
Yeah.
But that moment for me, it was just kind of like almost like a dream come true, because you always just dream of playing in the Maui Invitational, like the old NCAA video games. I create a player and I play in the Maui Invitational, and run it up. Whoever I'm signed to, run it up. So it was just like, and at the end of the day, it's like, that even with that team, I probably, people at the time probably would say, oh, why is he on the court, whatever. But it was like, I was out there to try to win and just make some shit happen. And it was fun because, that competition in that tournament was elite. It wasn't like we played in these, that team ended up going to the national championship or Final Four, I believe, that Kansas team.
That was a real good team, yeah.
So it was just like, hey, it was kind of like you dive all the way in, and then once you get out of it, like once I, went back to my phone and my BlackBerry broke, that's when I ended up switching over to iPhone. But it was like, dang, like I was kind of like a big deal with just I was just like, but I was so thrown in and just like winning the game that it didn't hit me until afterwards, when it was like, wow, I did something that was pretty cool. So it's something definitely I cherish forever.
Yeah, I think that was my favorite preseason tournament. For sure. I mean, obviously one is in Hawaii, so that's dope. But it felt like you were going back to high school, because it was a super small gym, jam-packed, people going crazy, rims are super loose, it's hot. They got the doors open like it's an AAU tournament. Rims are super loose, so I was like, shit, all I gotta do is get it on the rim and it's going in. Like, and the vibe was just crazy. And then on top of that, you had Bill Self. I don't know if you remember that. If I remember, Coach said it a few times while we were there. Before the tournament, he was like, "We're here to play Duke," and Coach was like, here to play Duke. He was like, well, we're not here to play Kansas. We're here to win a fucking championship. So yeah, he didn't like that comment, and I remember he said it a couple of times during the week, and especially when we got to the before playing them. But yeah, it was a hell of a game. It was a lot of fun.
I mean, and it was like that year was that Coach's 903 right before that tournament.
Yep.
So, big game versus Michigan State at the Garden with a lot of pressure to win the actual game.
Man, you remember Woj after the film, our last film session in Durham, Coach, he says, Coach, come talk to him for a second. Coach walks out. He goes, we better fucking win this game.
Better not F it up.
Yeah, we better not fuck it up. And I'm like, dude, it's Michigan State. Like, they're good. It's not, we're not playing like so mid-major school. Like, they're top 10 too. Like,
I mean, because I was the lockout year, so everybody was there. Chris Paul, all them guys. It's just like Nike had this big celebration planned out.
Yeah.
Like you said, it's a tough team. Draymond Green, Keith Applin, Adrian Payne, like
they had a squad,
high-level players, man. And it was a back and forth battle, and I still remember at halftime, like feeling like the pressure of like we cannot lose this game.
Yeah, because it was like it was so much, right? It was like it was 903. It was at the Garden, Bobby Knight was doing the game. Like you
Mm-hmm.
said, it was a lockout. It's jam packed. Uh, we got celebrities there. Spike Lee right next to our bench, and it's like, yo, this is a
Praying that Michigan
lot.
State beat us. He over there
Yeah.
Michigan State.
I was like, yo, this is a lot going on. Like this is a big time basketball game. But yeah, we ended up pulling it out.
No, I think just that experience leading up to having that experience leading up to Maui kind of it loosened, I think, the group up a little bit where we
Yeah.
didn't even feel the pressure of Maui, going in there with the undefeated record and all of that. It was like, hey, the 903 felt like, hey, yo, if y'all lose this game, it's over.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
just don't do it. You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying?
Yeah, yeah.
But at the end of the day, every game is like that. We expected to win almost every one.
Hmm.
So there are very few where it's like, it gets to talk like, you're expected to win.
Hmm.
And that is the standard.
Yeah. And one of the things I think that make make us good come later in the season and in the postseason is we do have those games in the beginning of the year. You know what I mean? Like we start off the year, we'll play a mid-major at home or whatever, and then it's like boom, Michigan State, or
Well,
boom, Kentucky, boom,
even in saying
Kansas,
that, is like we always played the Division II national
national
champ
champ. Yep, yep.
team that was like in that running for that.
Hmm.
So it's like, no matter what level you playing at, if you playing a national champ from a D2 level, like I remember playing Bellarmine, whose first year was D1 was this year.
Yep,
I mean, we played them at Howard, but like my first time hearing them was at when we played them at Duke, and they were
yep.
good. And it was like you gotta respect those teams, no matter what level they are.
Absolutely. Yeah, especially when they're used to winning. Like they come in like, we win. That's what we do. We win. So yeah, you can't take them lightly at all. So we're in the midst of the tournament right now. How much are you watching? How much did you watch of the first weekend?
I watched majority of the games, like in and
Hmm.
out. I got my little 5-year-old, 5 month old, not
I was
5-year-old,
about to
5
say 5 years. Hold on, man. What did I miss?
So, he's getting a little more active. So
Yeah.
just between making sure he don't roll off the couch, and feeding him and doing what I got to do for work. I've been tuning in just to, study, as a coach, kind of see what the best teams are doing, and really just kind of seeing how those guys are interacting out there on the floor with each other, with their coaches, and just trying to learn from this year's, group of really good teams in it.
Yeah. Did you I remember, when we were in the tournament, I like to watch all the games.
Hmm.
One, especially like, if we had the later game,
Hmm.
it's like nothing to do all day. So you get to watch the games all day. Did you like to watch it, or were you more chill, taking
I
naps and
mean,
stuff
I
like that?
definitely love to watch until we lost, and then
Yeah.
after,
Oh, yeah, 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 for sure. Once we
but
lost, I had no interest in the tournament.
with them first round exits, it was like I ain't watched the rest of those tournaments.
No, 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 no. Because all they gonna do is show clips of us.
Yeah, yeah. But it was just like, man, that I'm such a competitor that stuff used to cut so deep that it was
Yeah,
like, man, let me
absolutely.
not make myself more pissed off by watching whoever. And if I had friends still in the tournament, I'd tune in to watch them just to
Hmm.
feel like it was something positive about it. But it's like at the end of the day, I wanted to win it all. You know what I'm saying? I
Hmm.
wanted to be on that thing, cutting down the net. So when we would lose, I would watch all the games up until when we would lose. But now for me, it's just like it's on the TV. I'm
Yeah,
flipping through the games, and like I said, just kind of now as a coach, um, watching what other coaches are doing, what their systems are looking like, because the game is it's evolving every year, and things that used to be the norm are changing and shifting, and it's really cool to see, honestly.
yeah. You got anybody beating the Zags?
Um, I like the defensive minded teams. I like Loyola's defense. I like the
Loyola's really good
versatility.
on defense, man.
Yeah, I like, because I like how those guys communicate, and I
Yeah,
like how so it's like, in a matchup with Gonzaga, I think Gonzaga probably definitely has, more talented guys
yeah,
for whatever that, however you want to take that. But I think defensively, the way that they communicate and the way that they're connected, if they were to match up with Gonzaga, I would feel like it would be a really good game.
Yeah.
And at that point, it comes down to really good players making tough shots over
Yep.
really good defense.
Yeah.
And I think that would be a matchup that any basketball fan would love to see. I
Yeah.
like Florida State's versatility with the group of guys they have, and how Leonard Hamilton is able to get those guys to buy in, to understand and trust that it's not about being the guy scoring a lot of points, but going in there doing what you do, playing hard within the parameters of how the team is set up, and we all benefit from it. So I do like Florida State this year. And last night I watched USC, and I like the length of that team.
Yeah. They look real good.
I think those guys have really good instincts. And I think defensively that they are able with their length to disrupt a lot of things. So I like USC and what they're able to bring in with the defense. And then offensively to have a guy like Mobley, could take over a game at any point. Which down the stretch in these moments, I remember watching Melo growing up and just watching him run through the tournament. It's like he has the ability to have that kind of impact.
Yeah.
So, that could be an interesting team to look out for.
Yeah. So post Duke, you had a interesting path to get to where you are currently. Because you, correct me if I'm wrong, you started at Marquette, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then you left there, and then you went back to play.
Yeah, I went back to play.
Yeah, and then ended up at Howard.
Ended up at Howard. So, I left when I graduated. That summer, I went to Milwaukee with Wojo as a grad assistant. Slept on Chris Carrawell's couch that summer.
Shout out to Sewell.
Shout out to Sewell, OG. Slept on this couch and kind of just soaked up a lot of the what I've learned to help me be where I am now, from him. Grad assistant. Marquette is a program that has history and has won championships and been to Final Fours and have all-time NBA greats come from that program. They just won the TBT tournament last summer, the COVID tournament. And was fortunate enough to meet a lot of those guys. Worked with Travis Diener, who hit the shot, and coached a couple of guys that played on the team. So I'm really fortunate to be a part of that kind of family that they have over there. Was there for the first 2 years that Wojo took over, and learned a lot about what it was like to take over a program. Just being able to be in those meetings and then those brainstorming sessions with their staff, from recruiting to kind of getting the infrastructure built up the way he wanted it, and being in that bricklaying foundation part of his journey there, and his time there. It was a great learning experience for me. And at the same time, while I'm going through that process of being the GA and learning the other side of the game, I really just fell back in love with just competing and playing. I needed to take a mental break away from playing, but just being around it, it kept me in it. And then once I finished my 2 years, I was like, man, I think I want to go have that pro experience. I think that will benefit me in my journey as a coach and as a leader and as a mentor, to kind of follow through with that, and be able to, whatever my experience is, be able to pass down that information that I gathered through my journey, to the next man. So I ended up going down to Houston, for about 4 months. Worked out with John Lucas. I was down there with Rashid, stayed with his family for a little bit, while I was down there, Rashid Suleiman. And really just, I was 215 pounds when I left Milwaukee. So really it was just like getting my mind right to get back in shape and get back to eating again. Like I would practice and kind of hop in drills, and we played pickup as a staff. But I was eating bad, drinking a lot of beer.
Yeah, yeah,
It just over the 2 years, it ended up being 25 pounds over my playing weight.
yeah.
So it's really, when I left, it was really like that process of me mentally getting my mind back into competition mode. And I just wanted to go somewhere where I would be pushed. And I actually went down there while they had a lot of guys getting ready for NBA draft. So a lot of the young guys that was coming out of college was in those workouts. A lot of pros that were kind of doing rehabs and in and out of the city down there, were pulling up to the gym. So it was just great competition for me to kind of get back in shape. And between me leaving Milwaukee and like playing with my first team, it was probably a year and a half process, um, while I was just kind of at home working out, doing a couple little odd jobs here and there, doing a little bit of traveling, but just kind of staying ready to play, getting ready to play, and staying ready to play. And that process, like I said, was a year and a half before I signed my first deal with a team in the States in the league that they had created at the time. It's called the Basketball League now. I forget what it was called back then because they only had it for a year. But the team was Yakima Sun Kings, a team that was a part of the old CBA, I believe that's what they called it, or something like that. What
Yeah,
basically
yeah,
the old G League.
yeah.
They had a few guys. Ronnie Turiaf played with them, and I want to say Raja Bell played with them, back when they were, in that league before they, switched over to the G League or what it is now. And I played for the coach that coached those teams, when I went out there. Lived out of a hotel for the season, and we had games in Vegas, we traveled to New York, games in Missouri, a couple little odd towns, and it was just, it was some good basketball players in the league. The dude on my team, Ronaldo Major, um, all time, I'm not sure if he still is, but the all-time leading scorer in G League history.
Yeah, I think he is.
I think, so that was my vet, that was my OG my first year. And I feel really lucky because he taught me a lot about being a pro, and the difference in that, and kind of how to carry myself, and what I need to be doing for myself as a pro to continue to move on in the direction I wanted to move. So I felt lucky having the coach I had, the teammates I had. We ended up winning the championship. Um, and then after that, I had to go try to get on another team. So I went and paid to be a part of, a camp, uh, Euro camp out in Vegas during the time of like summer league.
Mhm.
And a couple teams contacted me from the camp, and that's how I ended up in Helsinki for my first few months, playing in the top division in Finland. And then midway through that season, we had a really good team. I mean, we had some really good players. Wayne Blackshear was on my team. Juwan Staten, who played at West Virginia, was on my team. My man, Chris Ortiz, he went to Kent State. We had some guys that could really ball. We just didn't win. We had, management and a lot of people who don't know.
Yep.
Over there is a lot different, but we had management bringing guys on, sending guys home left and right. So we never
Mhm.
built any continuity. And I had to talk to my agent for a couple months and was just like, I don't necessarily know this. I think the situation is helping me develop and grow.
Right.
So he was able to get me another job in Canada, with another team that had contacted me from the camp. Um, and I finished that season out. We made them run to the semifinals, lost game 7 on the road, to the team who ended up winning the championship. Came down to a couple janky calls. And they deserved it. It was definitely a 7-game series. It came down to the wire. But during that whole playoff process, Blakeney was going through, who's the head coach at Howard now, was going through his interview process with Howard and asked me if I would be a part of his staff if he got the job. So my whole playoff with my second team, I'm kind of waiting to see if he's going to get the job or not.
Mm-hmm.
And then once he gets it, I accept. And kind of that's kind of how I ended up here at Howard.
Yeah.
And this is, like I said, this is my second year.
Yeah. I mean, how dope is it for you personally to be back in the area it all started, kind of coming full circle. You started playing basketball, now you're coaching back in DC.
I'm about to say, for me, it felt good to be back home after being gone for so long, because I basically have been gone since I left for college.
Yeah.
Went from Duke to Milwaukee to Houston, came back to DC, in and out for a little bit, and then I was across the world in the places that I was. But part of the when he reached out about the job, part of the enticing part of it was for me to be back home and kind of set up shop a little bit back home and get settled in a place where I understand what basketball means to this area, and I've been a part of the history of basketball here.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like reestablish myself as a coach, and rebrand myself as a coach, and bring success to the players that I do coach. In that way. So that's really what I was looking forward to with coming to Howard. And part was, Howard wasn't a place that, as a kid for me growing up, that I looked at for sports. I knew it was a great school, but I didn't look at it as being a school that, I never went to a Howard basketball game.
Mm-hmm.
So, and part of the, the reason I took the job was to kind of be a part of the reason why it is talked about, like Georgetown, GW, George Mason, Maryland, those schools in the area. Like, I want to be able to help put Howard on the map in that sense, where a kid feels like he can get a great education and he can really learn how to hoop and be a winner here. So, that was really the reason that I felt like it was a good opportunity for me to come back.
Word. Do you got any favorite sports other than basketball that you keep up with?
That I keep up with. I mean, honestly, now that I'm a coach, it's like
straight basketball.
It's mostly basketball.
Yeah.
It's like, even when it came down to football, my team, the Buccaneers, I've been a Buccaneers fan since I was a youngin' so the first time I saw them was at their spring training, or like their summer training, whatever, during the Nationals.
Nationals, yeah. They always had it at the same time, yeah.
At that point, I didn't really have a favorite team. My favorite team was my parents' favorite teams.
Yeah.
It was just like, at that point, I was like, I don't want y'all favorite team to be my team. I want this team to be my team.
Yeah.
And they ended up winning the Super Bowl, and it's been all them years since.
Yeah, it's been a little while.
And I held them down. Like, what's your favorite team? It's like the Buccaneers. Oh, why you like them? I got to get into the story when I was at AU, yada, yada, yada. But nah, it's football when I can.
Yeah.
Nah, really, it's like, I love playing other sports. Like, I love playing soccer. I love playing lacrosse. Like, I'm cool with just like competing in kickball, whatever, dodgeball. But like right now, I watch a lot of hoops, man. I love it.
That's what's up. All right. I'm gonna let you go, but before I let you go, I do need your all-time. You got to win one game. I need your all-time Duke starting five and a six-man.
All-time Duke starting five.
Got to win a game. Yep.
Got to win a game.
Duke career only.
Duke career only. Okay. Let me go. So what's your starting five? First?
Oh, I feel like it switches every week.
What's your starting five this week?
So this week we're gonna go with you put me on the spot. I wasn't ready. I'll go with Kai. No. Yeah. No. I'm gonna go J. Will, JJ Redick, Grant Hill, Zion, and Leitner. And I'll have Dunleavy off the bench.
Okay. I'm gonna let Nolan run the point.
Okay.
All right. I'm gonna let Nolan run the point. At the 2, I'm gonna go JJ. I'm gonna go JJ at the 2. Get the shooter out there.
Yeah.
At 3, I'm gonna go Grant Hill.
Yeah.
Go Grant Hill. At the 4, my favorite Duke player growing up that I did like was Luol Deng. So
ooh. I forgot about Uncle Lou. Oh man.
Yeah, go Nolan.
That's JJ. A good one. That's a good one.
Grant Hill. Luol Deng. At the 5. I'm gonna start Zion at the 5 with that group.
Okay.
I'm gonna go 5 out with that crew right there and let them boogie. And then off the bench, I gotta bring one person off the bench.
One person off the bench.
Who I'm gonna bring off the bench? I think with that group, I'm gonna have to bring Big Jaleel Okafor off the bench.
Ooh, okay. Get a little size on there.
So when I need to go big, he go big, and then I can let Grant run the 1 when he feel like it. Luol can run the 1 when he feel like it. And I'm gonna go big brother Nolan, JJ. JJ can shoot whatever shot he want.
Yeah, for sure.
And then Zion and Big Jaleel holding down the paint for me.
Yeah, that's a good squad. I like that because I feel like Jaleel's year is a bit slept on because he had a hell of a year.
I mean, when it come to post moves at the college level, there was nobody in college would be able to.
Nobody could do nothing with him, man.
I mean, even now as a pro, he still got game. It's not like, but it's like I remember watching him in college. Like, man,
if it was single coverage,
the ball on the block, I want to see what he gonna do.
If it was single coverage, they had no shot. It was a bucket. You better send 2.
And with that lineup, I might go Jaleel, Zion, Grant, Luol, and Smitty, and let JJ take a breather.
Yeah, that's a big lineup, and they're not gonna score very many points against you. That's for sure.
No, we going straight to the
length.
Straight to 3. Let the boys stretch them arms.
Yeah, just like this. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, that's a good squad, man. Lou's a good call, man. I gotta put him in my rotation for sure.
Yeah, I definitely show love, man. I remember watching him like, yo, how is he just so tall and he just smooth and do anything? Anything.
Monster.
And he had the Jordan. I just remember because he had the Jordan.
Yeah, he wore the J's. Yeah, swagged out.
Number 2.
Swagged out. Yeah, he killing. I was so sad when that team didn't win it, man, because I was a Duke fan forever. So yeah, that was a rough one, man, when they didn't win it because that squad was nice.
I was really like the one guy before like Nolan. I was just like, I really like him. Yeah,
Lou's tough. Yeah. All right, man. That's all I got for you, man. I appreciate you taking some time. A lot of time. We went a little over, but it's all good. Yeah, man. Thank you.
Appreciate that, Slim. Tell the wifey I said it was good.
Will do.
Tell the family I said it was good too.
Yes, sir.
All right, my man.